Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
August 26, 2020, the Teva Indicted edition. And we'll start with that story from the from the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. business unit of Teva Pharmaceuticals has been indicted on charges the drug maker fixed prices on generic drugs. The DOJ is expected to announce the charges imminently. The indictment is the highest profile action in a long-running investigation of the generic drug industry and resulted in more than 10 cases against companies and executives. Most companies so far have agreed to settle by paying criminal penalties, admitting wrongdoing, and agreeing to cooperate in exchange for a deferred prosecution agreement, with the government eventually dropping the charges. Teva had met with the top DOJ brass to try to persuade them not to bring a case, and it was resistant to any settlement, which would have included a DPA and a requirement that the company admit wrongdoing. So it played hardball and it got indicted. It's going to be interesting to see when they cave in and settle. From the Washington Post, the Chamber of Commerce does not want workers to have any protections around the COVID-19 coronavirus health crisis, and they want to make sure businesses don't pay any legal penalties for business negligence causing people to get sick. The Chamber of Commerce wrote draft legislation designed to shield companies from liability relating to the pandemic and have distributed it to state and federal lawmakers. Senate Republicans certainly who want to gut any protections for the working man are all for this. Of course, Mitch McConnell, Moscow Mitch, as you would expect, he is for this. The problem is with no protections, workers literally have no protections. So in Texas, that's not even a workers' comp claim if you get it. So a big TS to workers from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Really no surprise. Next up from the Wall Street Journal, in just a devastating lawsuit, a group of former black NFL players has filed a federal lawsuit alleging the NFL's much-contested concussion settlement with players blocked some black claimants from securing payouts because they used an evaluation process where they assumed blacks had lower cognitive functions when healthy than white players. This would seem to just be the most purest, insidious and invidious form of racism that could be generated to claim that blacks had a lower cognitive function. Not really surprising, once again, from the NFL, given the way their approach to these things. But if this is proven true, it's certainly going to be devastating. And finally, car wash still is around, as Brazilian prosecutors, according to the New York Times, accused 2 representatives of Maersk of bribery and corruption in a case stemming from the car wash investigation, which started back in 2014. So car wash still exists. The case has alleged bribery from Maersk to representatives of Petrobras to exchange for privileged information, which would then Maersk would use to garner more business. So car wash still lives, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.